What's up, everybody? Good to see y'all. I got Colin here from Presearch, CEO, the man himself, to talk a little bit about Main Net. It's coming out in a couple days. I'm pretty excited. I got some questions I want to ask him. The man himself can answer them. So let's jump right on into it. What exactly, I got like a couple questions. What exactly does Main Net entail?
Yeah, so mainnet is really the culmination of over a year and a half of effort from the dev team and from the community members who've been running Presearch nodes on our testnet. We've just been working out the bugs and really getting ourselves to this point. So with the testnet, we're up to almost 65,000 user nodes, which is incredible. And essentially, when you run a query, the query comes in through the Presearch kind of system through the website, and then hits a node gateway server, which then anonymizes the query, and then it basically pulls from the pool of available nodes a node that appears to be responsive. It sends that anonymized query out, and then the node goes out to all the different sources on the web and captures the information about that query, and then through our internal algorithm, then passes that result set back up to the node gateway and back to the user. And the node gateway then tracks that search work that's been done by the node and then allocates a reward. And so up until this point, everything's been running through a single node gateway out of the US. And it's worked okay for US users, which is about 40% of our traffic. But the majority of the traffic is actually international. They're all over the world. And so for those people, they've been going from wherever they are, Germany, Australia, wherever. And it's kind of like a long distance to travel to get to this US node gateway. And then the node gateway is generally hitting servers in the US and then back, and then it takes a long time, and it's got something called network latency. And so what we're doing with mainnet is migrating these nodes onto a distributed network of node gateways. So you're going to have them in each continent, which is going to make it that much faster for international users. And then it's an opportunity for node operators, instead of everything being kind of centrally done through this one node gateway, to start distributing their server or computer footprint out there and start serving queries from all corners of the earth. And so that's kind of the core of mainnet. But then ultimately, it includes a bunch of other things. It's migrating onto presearch.com, which is I think going to be massive for marketing. We've done all right, I would say, on presearch.org, but presearch.com, which to me represents presearch.community, is going to be, I think, a lot better from a marketing and branding standpoint and an awareness standpoint. We've got a new homepage that's coming into effect. There's just a bunch of streamlining that's happening with different navigation elements amongst the different platforms. We've got the keyword staking platform and the node management platform, for instance, and then ultimately getting to Web3 withdrawals. So it was initially going to happen right before mainnet, but just there's so many moving parts, and it's a fairly kind of risky ultimately element of the platform, because it does control the interaction with the token. So that is now going to happen like within a week after mainnet launches, and that is going to be absolutely huge for the project. I mean, one of the biggest sources of negativity and kind of friction has been the withdrawals process. So as soon as that goes live, then we've got ourselves into a really awesome place to go out and really promote the project. There's a whole bunch of other stuff, and to me, like, I think of mainnet as this is the time where after this, we're really ready to go to market. We've got, a surprisingly large number of users, considering we've been operating on a .org domain, considering, it's been in kind of a beta mode, and it's been, something that we've been testing on and iterating on. And so after mainnet is really kind of when I feel like we've got the base foundational level. So there's the infrastructure that is being powered by the decentralized community. And then we have Presearch moving on to presearch.com, which is going to be, I think, huge from a marketing standpoint. And then Web3 withdrawals, which has been one of the biggest pain points and kind of sources of negativity for the project. That will be, and we're hoping to have that happen before mainnet, but we're going to do it shortly after mainnet. There's just so many moving parts. But kind of within the week after mainnet goes out, we're going to launch the Web3 withdrawals, and then there's some user experience stuff. We've got a new homepage that's coming in. And we've just kind of, standardized a whole bunch of stuff just to make it, easier for people to navigate. And now we've kind of got like a base level, pretty high quality experience where we can start really doing marketing and ramping things up and, trying to, break 10 million and then beyond registered users and really growing the usage of the project, and then, improving the value of the advertising platform, and then in turn creating more and more demand for pre.
Excellent. I got a quick question here. You answered a couple of them that I was already going to ask. Number one, when setting up a VPS, you mentioned that a lot of this traffic is from outside the US, so it's going to be advantageous to not have everything that you're doing based in the US. You maybe wanted a VPS in Germany or Asia or India or wherever. You may want to have VPSs in multiple locations, not necessarily just one. The second question is about, is any infrastructure as far as the way the rewards handed out going to change? And if they are, what will they be?
So it is changing in, like, because there hasn't really been much traffic on testnet. We basically put like a normalization, and what we want to ensure was that there was kind of a base level of rewards that were paid to people that would essentially cover their VPS costs. So we're trying to aim like $8 to $10 a month on average, so that people were able to, have those costs covered. That is kind of an optimal, setup through VPS. You can run it on a home computer or home server as well. That all works very well, but certainly, VPS is, it works well from a latency standpoint, from a performance standpoint, uptime, just, having robust internet connections, all those things. Ultimately we introduced the pre-berry, and, we do want to continue to decentralize the network, but it's kind of like, one step at a time, and trying to sometimes chew too much will make you choke, right? And so
I fully get
it. To try to have them all running on like home connections and stuff, we might end up with some performance issues, and if it's too slow, people won't use it. So like a really good interim step is VPSs. So the rewards have been kind of targeted to that. And so there's been like a normalization that's been in place. I mean, if we're rewarding based on just the actual traffic on testnet, rewards would be, significantly lower, because there just hasn't been much actual traffic, much economic value. So as we go forward, instead of it being, based on kind of like a percentage of traffic, it's now based on the actual queries that you are serving. So it is going to just be a more direct metric. And then as far as the rate goes, we've kind of got two components. One is like the economic value of actually handling a search, which is, kind of replacing basically the costs that we've had for the project, running centralized nodes, that kind of thing. Then there's kind of like the economic value of, the staking and creating demand and securing the network by having a stake on your node and having that kind of, trust value. And then there's the marketing value, which I think is kind of like the big lever that we really have. The node operator community has been one of our best sources of growth for the project, from a usage standpoint, a marketing standpoint, and basically, looking at, okay, as we increase node rewards and those allocations out to the node operators, is that kind of positive sentiment and that excitement happening that is enabling the project to, attract new users on social media, climb the ranks of CoinMarketCap, ultimately like huge, traffic value and exposure value to being in like the top 100 on CMC and on CoinGecko, which is ultimately where we want to be. And we think that, the market opportunity certainly supports that. So trying to like get all those kind of factors worked out so that the node operator community, which is quite significant and growing still pretty rapidly, being kind of the core of like our go-to-market strategy ultimately for the crypto space. And then above and beyond that, there's lots of different marketing that we're going to do, but we feel like most of our users right now are in the crypto space.
Agreed.
There's a huge crypto marketing opportunity. There's let's call it 5,000 high quality projects on CMC, and they all need marketing exposure. Just them alone should be able to drive massive demand for the pre-token. And so as we kind of build out that audience, and then we've got some work to do after mainnet. There's still a couple of things we need to implement autocomplete so that it does suggestions as you search in
Gotcha.
the search field. That's kind of one big missing link. But then the other thing is just improving the targeting and filtering capability of the keyword staking platform, improving reporting, the ability just to have multiple ads within that one space. Currently it's like a winner take all model. We're shifting that to be more of like a pro rata model. So based on the amount that you stake, that's going to determine the percentage that of the traffic that you get. And then that enables us to ultimately flip over to a consumptive model where there's an actual cost on the clicks that's either denominated in PRE or it might end up being in a stable coin. We found that a lot of people don't want to spend their PRE on clicks. It works really well for the staking side of things, but it might end up being a stable coin that they're paying in for the clicks. And then basically we take a percentage of that and then we funnel that back out to the node operators, and a percent to the searchers, and then some to a dev fund, some to a marketing fund, and then that ultimately becomes like the key growth driver for the project. But for now, it's like building out that audience, getting it really dialed in, getting the ad platform all dialed in, and then really doing massive outreach. So building out that ad team to go out and contact projects and contact all the marketing agencies and people that would be a really good fit and that are looking for cost-effective targeted traffic, specifically those trying to reach people who are in the Web3 space, and giving them that contextual keyword advertising opportunity that has been so successful for Google, bringing in ultimately like hundreds of billions in revenue. Yeah. It's massive opportunity, and we need
a portion of that,
right? Dude, absolutely.
Well, good. That was going to lead me into my next question. Excellent job leading into another question. So, there's two parts. I guess it does and it doesn't, because I look at this from a different angle. You're not really competing with Google because they're not decentralized. They are incredibly centralized. If you don't understand that, they're looking at your data right now because you likely used Google to click on this, and they own YouTube. Yep. Where this video will go. Okay. Yep. So they're watching everything about you right now. You're not doing that. So because you're not doing that, technically you're not even competing with them. It's a whole nother segment that people don't quite grasp yet. You don't need to take data. In fact, I use the keyword staking. I was in on that way early. I'll show you here. I have XRP News. I own the rights to the keyword XRP News. So if you type in that on Presearch, my website pops up, my YouTube channel pops up.
Very cool.
We figured that out a long time ago. I was like, hey, wait a minute, keyword staking, I could generate traffic, right? It's exactly what you're talking about.
Yep.
I guess technically, like you're saying, you don't even need to compete. You just need a segment. And if you get a segment, then people start to understand that their data isn't being taken and stolen and then divvied out. And I guess technically it's not stealing because you check the box, but either way, it's shiesty at best. And this kind of avoids a lot of that. So how do you get that portion? I love the idea of trying to be top 100 on market cap. I think that's doable, especially when all this comes out. But how do you compete with the likes of with Google, Yahoo, and someone like who claims to not take your stuff, even though they do, someone like DuckDuckGo?
Yeah, I mean, it's such a huge space. It's kind of the number one utility on the internet. That keyword ad model is really the most successful business model in history. And it's worked not just for Google, but Bing, which powers DuckDuckGo, I mean, they're making billions of dollars off of it as well. And it's a model that just works. And so, we're basically trying to bring that working model into the Web3 era and have it. So yeah, we don't need to track you. Ultimately, the beauty of search is that you have transactional intent, as it's called. So when somebody does a search, you don't need to know what they ate for breakfast. You don't need to know what kind of car they drove. Like just the fact that they have indicated, hey, I'm looking for XRP news, or hey, I'm looking for, red Nike shoes. That alone is a qualified lead for an advertiser. And there's enough information there to enable them to craft a targeted ad that converts well and brings traffic into an external environment that they can convert into revenue or traffic.
Mm-hmm.
And
without trying to know what I ate for dinner or what medicine I take before bed.
That's right. Exactly. I mean, it's, and so, I mean, sure, Google's been around for over 20 years. They've, just continued dialing it in and dialing it in. And so they're at a point now where, yeah, they're not just, looking at keywords, they're looking at a profile, and that profile in some cases will convert better than, a more generic kind of, keyword model. But honestly, you're kind of squeezing drops out of the lemon at that point. It's
in the South, we say blood from a turnip.
Right. That's right. That's right. And so it's something that, yeah, doesn't need to be done. And even over time, I'm not in the near future, but in the long term, I mean, there's an opportunity to enable people to, hey, you can put more information in if you want. And if it's blockchain and you have full control over it, you've got private keys for it, and you have a way to monetize it, maybe people do want to share information.
That's a really cool idea.
Right. But I mean, it's something that right now in the Google world, I mean, you're not compensated at all. You are the product within
you are the product.
You're the product. And so, there's a lot of people that are waking up to that. And that's kind of we've got, I would say, three core target audiences. One is, crypto and kind of Web3 community people that are just looking to, see that change. Others that are looking to preserve their privacy. And then we've got kind of another opportunity, which is web workers and internet power users and people that are looking for something that is more powerful than just kind of generic, Google vanilla search.
Mm-hmm.
And because we have the multi-search environment, and there's ultimately going to be something that we call community search engines, which are going to enable, people like yourselves and influencers, niche communities, large organizations, whether they're, universities or companies or whatever, to basically build a white label version of Presearch that is customized with all of their own resources that are valuable to their communities, have their brand associated with it, and then they can actually earn a fraction of the pre that all of their community who's searching earns. And so we've got kind of those three big buckets. The interesting thing with kind of the rise of DuckDuckGo, and they've been, hugely successful over the past, 5 years in particular, really 2016 and Trump and then COVID, and it really, got a lot of people.
That's called a layup.
Yeah, it's a layup. Exactly. That's right. They kind of, have been riding that wave of people who've just been disenfranchised from big tech and feeling like big tech is it's kind of against their values or it's, promoting an agenda that they don't support. And so they're looking for these alternatives. And so they've been going to, DuckDuckGo largely because they were out there first with kind of the private search angle. And, they've done a lot of marketing. They were doing billboards all over the world. They spent, tens and tens of millions doing billboards. And I think, they're doing TV ads now. So to some degree, we're competing against them, but to another degree, what they're doing is they're actually segmenting the audience. We no longer have to try to find the people within the Google world who have kind of the privacy side of things. Now we target DuckDuckGo users. And the thing ultimately about DuckDuckGo, it doesn't get considered to be big tech, but it is powered, through a partnership with Microsoft Bing, and it is funded by Union Square Ventures, which is one of the biggest VCs in the space. And their follow-on capital has come from OMERS, which is the Ontario Municipal Employment Employee Retirement System pension fund. It's one of the largest pension funds in the world.
Listen
And so,
carefully,
like,
folks.
they're in bed,
Listen
with all
carefully,
the same,
folks.
right? And so, ultimately, like, Presearch is community backed, community funded. We don't have, any capital that's they're telling us, so hey, you got to have this agenda or anything. We are free to be independent and to align the values of the project with the values of the community. Ultimately, the vision is to turn this into a DAO and enable the community to actually have control over the governance, have this to be fully open source and able for the community to see, oh, what's that ranking factor? Oh, how has this evolved? Be actually participating in the curation process, participate in the creation of algorithms, and ultimately, with kind of that community search model, we see like one of the biggest things for like bias and agenda is, well, when there's only one. So like in Google, there's like one kind of set of defaults. Well, what if there are multiple defaults that are able to be set? And depending on which community search engine you come in from, it determines, what your defaults are. And so there's, kind of like this way where we feel like we could serve kind of the entire, potential of communities, but still give them something that aligns with their values and aligns with their interests, and have it be more of like an active filtering model. Google uses a passive one, which is like they track, oh yeah, they clicked on this, and because they clicked on this, now we're going to preference this, or
build a profile.
They're profiling you, right? To us, it's like, okay, enable them to switch between different communities and have like, active, customization where you are actually a part of it. And it's not happening because, like, man, like the profiling that happens and like the personalization that happens that we have no idea about. Like, think about what that
I think
can do, right?
I think a lot of times people bury their head in the sand about that. But what
Yep.
you're seeing is recent things happening, like Elon Musk dabbling in buying a $40 billion company because he's tired of the profiling.
Yep.
Little by little, you're seeing these things change. So essentially what you're saying here is Presearch is as big as the people want it to be. It's as big as people are willing to help make it, and you're getting paid to use it. You're reaping the rewards for using it, and you're reaping the rewards for that data. Unlike everywhere else where you're nothing but the product, and you will continue to be the product until you switch from that. I use Presearch. Like I said, I've got my name staked. My information is all out there. I was early on this because I knew about it, and I said, hey, also, a lot of things going on lately in the node world. I've been pretty strict on this. If there's not an SSH code for me to put in PuTTY or PowerShell, I'm not messing with it. And that's reigned true right up until now. And now here we are, had these Presearch nodes running for almost 8-9 months now, almost 10 months. So like I said, they work good. Everything, it's coming along very well, and it hasn't disappeared. It's still here. You guys are still actively working. You're still in the community talking to people. You're still out here doing your thing. No one's running and hiding. You can see, hey, look, right there's Colin, everybody. He never hid from day one, which is really cool to me. So the last thing I'll ask you, what's the, I know you said top 100. What's the overall plan here? Give me some kind of grand timeline where you go, man, okay, now we've done it. Now we've done exactly what we wanted. We can talk about what we want to achieve. That's one thing. I do the same thing all the time. I want to be in a place where I can help everyone. Now, how does Presearch hit that point where they go, that's it, we've done it. We can, this is the thing that we absolutely wanted to see happen. What would be that moment for you?
Yeah, I mean, I think enabling really ultimately community control and the community to be, totally, not totally maybe unrestricted, but to give the community the ability to participate to the degree that they want to participate in the project and be rewarded for it, and not have, gatekeepers and just everything kind of happening the way that these traditional centralized companies are. So, we're ultimately going to need our own blockchain. That's going to be utilized for governance. It's going to be utilized for the coordination of nodes and building out the decentralized index. So we would have that in place, and we would have.
Think about that for a second. A whole blockchain, a Presearch blockchain with other chains running on Presearch that have nodes that branch off of the Presearch blockchain, and your main Presearch nodes being the main nodes, and everything else filters out underneath that. I don't think people quite understand the depth that is, but that's big time.
Yep. It really is. And ultimately, like the way that, Trey and myself and the team and so many community members have been thinking about it is like, search should be like a utility, basically. And when I say utility, it's kind of like a public good. And right now we've been, the internet, and I'm old enough to, remember the free and open internet before gatekeepers and walled gardens dominating, right?
Hashtag me too.
Yeah. And honestly, like in the early days, the internet was so inspiring, and it was so amazing just to think that, oh man, you could do anything. And I really thought, and I invested quite a bit of money and time and energy into domain names, honestly. I've got through my other business, shopcity.com, we've got like 8,000 domain names: shopnewyork.com, shopboston.com, shop just about every city.com, and then plus a whole bunch of other ones. And like that model to me, where you've got like ownership of the digital asset, you have the ability to like find the highest best use of that asset and build it out, was really kind of like virtual real estate. And to me, just kind of a freer, more decentralized and more kind of egalitarian vision for the web. And then Facebook came out, and everybody started building on that and building on that, and you're putting all this value into a thing that ultimately, you have no control over, you have no say over. Most people don't have Facebook shares. They don't have any ownership over any of it. There's really no skin in the game. You're the product. And it's the same for all these environments. I mean, whether it's Twitter or Instagram or just about everywhere. And they're amazing at bringing in traffic. And so, people, there's like a trade-off there. But I think that there is a way that you can have like network effects and enable people to participate in a network. And think of Bitcoin, but ultimately the people who are building out the Bitcoin network, the early promoters, the people that are buying Bitcoin and holding it for the long term, the people who are mining it, like they have a stake in the value of that network as that network grows because of their efforts. And that to me is really kind of the model that we see here. And then ultimately, providing to the world a platform that isn't something that is just, okay, here it is, it's vanilla, it's, one size fits all, and there's a single flavor. It's, hey, here's like an interoperable kind of open platform where you can access, data, you can access traffic, you can access community, and you can stake, and you can be rewarded for your participation, whether you're searching or whether you're promoting the platform, or maybe you're a data scientist and you're contributing an algorithm, or if you're a subject matter expert and you are helping to curate information, or maybe you're an interface designer or somebody who is building under the community package model, like a knowledge panel, for you to be able to benefit from all these things. And I think there's like a massive opportunity to kind of, build this ecosystem that enables everybody to participate to the degree that they wish to, and ultimately have something that is just, it's more reliable because it's governed by the community. It's not going to just like go and take a right turn all of a sudden, or a left turn. And start doing things that the community members, don't agree with. And there's really no recourse. And you've kind of gone all in. And I think about this all the time because, like, I was an early Google promoter, and we through my businesses. I mean, we've brought tens of thousands of businesses into the Google ecosystem, whether it's AdWords or just through SEO or whatever. But ultimately, you kind of do that to your peril. You realize, oh, okay, now we've like built up this Goliath, and this Goliath has decided that now it wants to eat our lunch. Now it's going to come after us.
Skynet is aware.
That's right. Skynet is aware. Yeah. So trying to build something out where like that can't happen, and enabling, people just to have more input into the system. Ultimately, like, what is the economic value of that? What would the value of the token be? What would the rank be? I don't know. Obviously, there's a whole bunch of factors there, but the search opportunity is massive. It is the biggest one on the internet. There's tremendous economic value in there. It's, a couple of bucks a click on average, but there are clicks for like San Diego disaster restoration that are like hundreds of dollars. And there's this huge, value to those targeted, potential customers. And I think as well, with Google and the way that like all the kind of Web 2.0 and Web 1.0 search engines and other kind of marketing channels have operated, because they're not all aligned under like, a value unit, like with a token, you're kind of at odds. And so it's like you're searching and you're like, man, just get out of my face to the advertisers, right? You kind of don't want them. Well, what if those advertisers are the ones who are conferring the value onto the token that you are earning and the token that you are holding? You're more receptive to, hey, I'm going to try to support an advertiser.
Because you're getting paid for it.
They paid for it, and yeah, you're getting paid for it, and they're putting value into the system that's going directly.
Yeah, now you're a businessman. You're no longer a customer. You're a businessman.
It enables us all to be involved in that, and if you could build up like a loyalty to sponsors, and if sponsors realized, okay, this is like my core community here, and if I treat them well with, good pricing, good service, good offering, not deceptive ads, all those kinds of things, they will, come and support me. You're building this like network of trust where it's ultimately about like, building an economic model, honestly, as much as a technological model, where there could be so much value that is contained within the system. I kind of focus more on like local before, just general web search. And so I was always looking at cities and like looking at like the economic value within a city. And there was one that always stuck out, and this is from like, 10 years ago, so it's outdated. But at the time it was like, oh, what is the GDP of Oklahoma City? $34 billion a year is the GDP in one city. And it's like, wow, when you start to think about that, if we can build an ecosystem where there's, 10 million people, 50 million people, 100 million people, 500 million people, what is the GDP potential of, that size of network? And if you're doing it in a way where you're not exploiting people, which is really the Google, Facebook, big tech model, and they're participating in it, I mean, man, it could be just tremendous. So that's kind of like long-term vision.
This is awesome. An unexploitable ability for you to make passive income based on how much you cooperate and how much you use it. It's a different world. So this has been awesome. I don't want to keep it incredibly long. I wanted to make it a decent amount of time where people don't get bored, because YouTube tells us and Google tells us that if you have too long of a video, people just don't watch. So I want to thank you for doing this. This is awesome.
Thanks, man.
I'm excited about this. I have a ton of Presearch nodes myself. I use Presearch. I implore everyone to do the same. It's to your benefit. It's not going to hurt you. It's not going to hurt you. If anything, it'll only help you. So thank you for doing this. Any last words?
Yeah, no, honestly, man, thanks for your support. It's You're people welcome. Like yourself and the people that are watching that, I mean, this is a community project, and definitely couldn't do any of this without you guys and the core team. really appreciates the opportunity, and yeah, looking forward to building out that vision. And anybody who isn't familiar with the project, presearch.com, which is going live in the next few days. Right now it'll redirect you, but soon we'll be on presearch.com, which will be huge. Or you can check us out on any of social channels, Telegram and Discord, t.me/presearch or discord.presearch.com.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much, brother. I guess we'll see you next time. Thanks.
Sounds good. Thanks, Heath.
All right, bye.